The goal of this talk is to give you a bit of an overview of the LSK, what it's setting out to achieve, what the current status is, how people are expected to work with it, and to give you a chance to give feedback and have a bit of a discussion about the LSK. Please feel free to interrupt at any time, just stick your hand up and we'll get a mic to you. Also, this room is quite large, so if some of you at the back want to sit near the front, there's plenty of space for you. Thanks, Vish. So, what's the LSK about? What's it trying to accomplish and deliver? The overall goal is to share out, to take all the work that everybody using the Linux kernel ends up having to do, backporting features that have been developed upstream that they need to enable the latest and greatest features in their SOCs, and share that engineering resource within Linaro. Our goal with the LSK is to provide a basis for vendor kernels where all this work that would otherwise be repeated in each individual member company is done in one place, so that the member companies only need to synchronize with a single external tree instead of many, and any merge conflicts or other integration issues between the various feature branches have already been resolved prior to the member company picking up the LSK. We also provide QA for the LSK before we release it, and there's support available via LDTS. Another thing the LSK tries to do is to take the results of that support and other feedback from member companies and make sure it's being fed back into upstream development, so that if people are encountering problems or if there's missing features or things like that, that we are letting the upstream developers know. We're making sure any bug fixes are getting integrated into the upstream kernel, so that when people have to upgrade to a future version of the kernel, everything that they've encountered with the older kernel should already be resolved. That's the theory anyway. Our current status is that we have 2 releases of the LSK available. Each release is available in 3 different flavors. So we have a release based on the version 3.10 long-term stable kernel provided by Greg Crow-Hartman, and another based on the 3.14 kernel. The 3.14 release is new as of last month. Both these versions of the LSK are in current development. We're adding new features to them. The 3.10 kernel we will at some point stop adding new features to. That will be at least after December, but more likely further ahead, depending on member demand. And then once we've stopped adding new features to each version of the kernel of the LSK, we'll continue providing support and bug fix maintenance for another 12 months. So the dates are on the slide. We provide 3 different flavors of the LSK. Almost all of the features of the LSK are integrated into one core LSK and can be controlled at build time with compile time options. However, there's a couple of features which people really want, which are too invasive to allow that to happen, and so we maintain separate versions of the LSK for those. Those features are the Android patches, which are obviously very important in the mobile market, and the RT patches, the real-time patches, which several groups, particularly the home and networking group, are very interested in. So for most features, they'll be in the core LSK. We then merge the core LSK with the Android patches and with the RT patches, add any Linaro-generated enhancements on top of those, and then release 3 versions of the LSK. So quite a lot of features now. There's a list on the screen. I won't read them all out because that would take a while. The highlights, I think, are the support for Big Little, which is still not fully available upstream, although IKS is now included upstream. Does anybody have any questions or feedback on the feature set? Nope. Good. And another big focus for us feature-wise has been backporting the latest developments with ARM v8 to the older kernels, particularly for 3.10. ARM v8 support had only just been merged, so support was extremely basic. So what we're doing for both 3.10 and 3.14 is we're taking essentially everything that is being developed upstream that enables ARM v8, that optimizes it, that takes advantage of the features of the architecture, and we're backporting it to the stable kernels to make sure that people producing SOCs based on ARM v8 have the best possible support. Question? There's a.
I believe that there was a plan to push some patches to Linux LTS 3.10 as well. So, has any of those features been pushed to the LTS?
So we were going to try. We had a discussion with Greg a month or so ago, and he wasn't thrilled. He suggested that it should be LTSI instead. So we're going to work on that very shortly. But yeah, obviously things that are actual bug fixes that do apply to LTS for ARM v8 will be going to LTS anyway. But yes, he just wasn't comfortable with it. So he suggested not to try, unfortunately, which is reasonable enough because ARM v8 is a major new feature. So while the risk of integrating is very low, it would create problems for him if he was allowing this one big feature in and not allowing other big features in. It would compromise the goals of the LTS kernel. So that's what you can get from the LSK. How do you use it? The expected workflow is that member companies will take the and base their board support packages on top of it. If there's any features that are open source or in the standard kernel that you want to see in the LSK, then you would contact the LSK team or member services, discuss with us. We would most likely approve the feature for inclusion, and then work with relevant developers to prepare a backport for the LSK, review it, merge it in, and then the team within the member company that's using the LSK would take the new version of the LSK with a new feature, merge it into their kernel. That could either be a tagged release or just any other point on the branch. We try to ensure quality is good at all times, although releases do get some more detailed testing. And then once they'd merged, they would release their board support package with a new feature to their customers, who would finally integrate it into a product. So the expectation is that that the users will be people providing silicon support, not end product developers. Our focus is on shared engineering, not on things that are applicable only to an individual SOC. For us in the LSK team, our workflow is fairly straightforward. Ideally we work with people working on the features we're integrating and supporting, but sometimes we don't have that option because they're not willing to engage with us. But ideally we work with people working on features. We ensure that we've got the latest and most up-to-date version of the feature. We integrate it into our kernel, do the backports if necessary, review what we're doing. We push code into our test environment for testing and validation. And then if the testing is giving us good results, we merge the code into the actual LSK and then carry on testing it. And when we do a release, which we do every month, we take what we've got, do some additional, more detailed testing, and make the release, tag the release, and put it up on the releases server. Vish, you have a question?
So in the review code, is there any way to add like a domain maintainer of a member company who who's pretty senior in that particular domain to the review list for the LSK?
To review what, sorry?
In the section of review code, you said that LSK team in conjunction with relevant domain expert within Linaro.
Yeah, we're happy to work with anybody on the review side. There are companies who said they were interested in it.
Is there like a feature tree mailing list for that particular feature, backport, or how is that? How do I add somebody to that review list?
If somebody wants to review everything, you mean?
Not everything, just a particular domain.
So contact us. So the actual mechanics of the review process will vary depending on who we're working with to provide the feature and the backport. So what we try and do within the LSK team is we adapt our workflow to be as comfortable as possible for the people we're working with, rather than trying to insist on a specific workflow. So just contact us, let us know, and then we will work with whoever else we're working with, either a team within Linaro that's developed a feature or a community member, to try and come up with something that's effective. I mean, typically it's one of the standard upstream processes, so either publish a Git tree somewhere and take a look at it, send patches, or something like that. So for more information on the LSK, you can go to the website, wiki.linaro.org/LSK. You can always look at our current status by going to, which is hosted on git.linaro.org. The URL's there. You can also view it via the web interface. We do all our development in the open, so there will, throughout the month, there'll be constant updates as we're working towards the next release, and then the end result of the release is that we tag the code. So that's the presentation. Do we have any further questions or comments? Or deathly silence? If nobody has anything else they want or need right now, then I guess that's it for the presentation. If you want to discuss anything with us in a less public setting, then feel free to contact either myself or Alex Shee, who's stand-up Alex, the LSK maintainers, or anybody from member services. Either is fine. We're always happy to talk to members and get feedback, get requirements, and try and come up with something that works well for you. So thank you for your time and attention.